Hi, my name is Sandra Gibson. The topic of my research paper is how blogs and social media have enhanced the practice of public relations. Today, social media is everywhere and has globally taken over the main way to communicate. It also has impacted how public relations is being done. At one time, there used to be public relations professionals would put a story out through the news channels or through a press release or through a special event. But now that with everybody having at least one social media account, public relations professionals are trying to figure out the best way to remain relevant to the public and to stay in the game when it comes to public relations and communicating. It has also caused organizations to have a heightened awareness of how public relations information is being put out there, how social media information is being put out there, and so they're taking different measures on how to best handle those types of things so that they can remain good in the public eye and not get themselves in trouble or get their company in trouble. So my research approach for this was that I explored several different peer review articles and journals, and also research were conducted by marketing strategists, communications entrepreneurs, public relations managers, as well as technical bloggers. There was a couple of questions that I used to help form the basis of my research. The first question was how bloggers and how social media enhance public relations. The other is, has the emergence of social media changed how organizations communicate? I have four topics that I covered in my research. They are an organization's social media activity, communications through an organization's representatives, social media impact on public relations, and how an organization handles social media attacks. So the first topic, organization social media attack, social media activity, basically is what it is. I just wanted to dive into some research to find out how many companies and organizations out there are really using social media. And some of the reports and information that I found, one in particular through Ernst & Young from 2016, there was a study done conducted with 173 Romanian professionals. They were communication professionals, and they reported that 78% of their respondents do promote their companies globally. 97% definitely engage in some type of social media platform. Facebook is used, YouTube is used, but the surprising thing was that when it came to an actual public relations department, 39% only engaged in social media platforms. And I really believe that, and I did read that one of the main things about that is that a public relations department has to be very mindful of the type of information that they put out to the public. They have to definitely scrutinize a little bit more than you would just going on to somebody's blog or something, because it's what's at stake is your company's reputation and how they see you as an organization. So I'm not surprised at the minimal use of social media through an organization. The other topic that I covered was communications through an organization's representatives. What I mean by that is there are two types. There's the company's employees who represent the company. Then there's also external employees who are represented through a consultant. Companies are starting to share information with consultants and starting to have some trust in them to handle their social media and their public relation activity. So that's a trend that's changing, but it does mean a lot because a company has to rely on, especially the external communications folks, that they're reporting their information accurately, and they put a lot of trust in them to do so. The next topic is blogs and social media impact on public relations. And I did come across a couple of studies, one in particular where three individuals, one was a politician, a professor, and then an author. They did a study on some communication professionals wanting to know just how social media affected them as far as their leadership behavior, work-life conflict experiences. What does social media do to them in what way? So one of the things that came up is that it can lead you either both enhancing or aggravating the impact of social media upon the communications of their work. For instance, for a communications employee who had to use YouTube to get their job done, it became fun it was necessary, but because of the use of it, they enjoyed it, and so their job was better to them. They started liking it a lot better. But then on the other hand, there's an intensive use of Twitter by a professional who had to use it for their job, but they had to use it a lot. And eventually it was extensive work hours, work overload, and eventually job stress. So there are the pros and the cons to the use of social media along with public relations. The other topic I covered are how organizations are handling social media attacks. This is on the rise, and public relations departments have to be mindful of how to handle this. There's a study done by the Partner Institute, and they came across 3 ways that they said are best to handle these situations. First was do not panic. You have to focus and consider what the options are. Second is figure out how you want to respond. Consider the motivation of the attacker. Is it just seeking attention? Have they been misinformed? Once you determine that, then you know the best approach. The last one is respond quickly and publicly, and then take it offline after you've done that. You got to respond quick. You want to respond the same place the attack occurred, and then you take it offline after that. The results of my study pretty much brought up a few things. 97% of companies are using social media. Organizations are using internal and external employees to report and manage their information. The use of social media by communication professionals can be both enhancing or it can be aggravating depending on the communications task. So my suggestion for further research is the one thing I still would like to know is social media has the ability to create new opportunities and challenges for brands, and making public relations have to keep up with trends and tools. Further research, I think, is needed to figure out how to make social media and public relations come together and work as a combined tool. So the conclusion of my paper is that these platforms we have for social media, will we continue to use them? One thing to remember, social media and public relations, they are both forms of outreach. When you're doing social media, sometimes you are doing public relations. When you're doing public relations, think about how you can use social media to enhance your message, and merging them properly can produce some impressive results. My biblical perspective on my topic is this. People used to talk to each other. There used to be relationships that were tangible and personal. So when you set out to say something to somebody, or you want to put out a news story, keep in mind some things that I pulled from Colossians 4:6. Let your speech always be gracious, seasonal with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer that person. Thank you.